And welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our NBA predictions here for Sunday, March 9th. We've got 8 games today in the National Basketball Association, and we're going to predict every single one of them, obviously, like we've been doing all year long. Starting things off with a huge game between the Nuggets and the Thunder, so we'll get to that in a second, folks. But before we get into the predictions, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily NBA predictions here on the channel. Earlier today, we posted our college basketball best bets, so make sure to check out that video. That is linked in the description down below, along with our UFC Fight Night Vittori versus Dolidze 2 predictions, or that will be later today on the channel on Greedo Plays MMA, our new MMA channel. Make sure to go check that video out, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right, let's go on to the first of our 8 games today. We kick things off, obviously, in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a big basketball game, don't get me wrong, right? OKC coming off of somehow a win over the Portland Trailblazers with their G League team. They're now 52-11. Shout out to Aaron Wiggins, though, with his 30 points. Taking on the Denver Nuggets, obviously coming off of a big overtime victory over the Phoenix Suns when in a game where obviously Nikola Jokic had the NBA's first 30, 20, and 20 triple-double game. Shea's still the MVP, though, guys, and this is the game that's going to prove it. And you know why I feel so good about the Thunder winning and covering? It's because OKC's been preparing for this game. They have. They saw this game and this back-to-back that they're playing here against the Nuggets on the schedule for a very long time. Again, these two teams will square off tomorrow night as well in Oklahoma City on NBA TV. But the Thunder have had this back-to-back stretch circled on the schedule for quite a bit, I would think. There's a reason none of their main guys play the Portland game. They still beat the Trailblazers by 18 points. And again, shout out to Aaron Wiggins, who dropped 30. Shout out to Jalen Williams, who had a big night. Had 10, 11, and 11. Had a triple-double, did Arkansas. Jalen Williams obviously got, the towel treatment in the post-game interview as well from the OKC Thunder and from the players, obviously. But this is a game, obviously, with no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, no J-Dub, no Chet Holmgren, no Cason Wallace, no Isaiah Hartenstein. And they still won by 18 points. But they were preparing and they were getting ready for Denver in this back-to-back. This tells me they're taking this incredibly seriously. Again, if they just rested Shai, there's no injury to SGA. There's no injury to a lot of these guys. It's just they didn't want them playing ahead of the back-to-back against Denver. Because now all these guys are off of the injury report. So it tells me, again, OKC's taking this game extremely they're taking it extremely seriously. They haven't played this Denver team since the first game of the season, where OKC outclassed them. They beat them by 15 points. They held Denver to under 90 with just 87 points in that game, and it was a dominant performance out of the OKC Thunder in Denver to kick off the year. They played them again a couple weeks later, and Denver beat them by 2, but the first matchup of the season, I think, again, is what we're going to continue to see in this matchup. So OKC split the first 2 in Denver earlier in the year, obviously now with back-to-back games in OKC, but I think the Thunder really dominate this basketball game, and on top of just, the 2 top teams are now in the West after, the Thunder are going to beat the Nuggets tonight, and the Lakers will be back to 2, but anyways, the Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander are trying to put a statement out there tonight. Not just the Thunder are the best team in the West and potentially in the NBA, but also it's that SGA is the best player in the NBA. Again, the Jokic 30, 20, 20 game is cool, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's dropped 50 points in the last month and a half. Jokic scored 17 points, or 10 points on national television against the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that he has owned he has owned them for the last 2 years. It sucks, but he has. This year's different, though. But OKC is going to beat this team. And why? Matchup-wise, too. OKC plays great defense. They'll take away Jokic to the best of their ability, and on top of that, Denver doesn't play defense. Good luck with Shai. Good luck with J-Dub. And good luck with that crowd in Oklahoma City as well that knows the magnitude of this game as the Thunder, again, continue to march their way to clinching and locking down the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. This team has 11 losses this season. And shout out to Cleveland, who's 53-10. We'll talk about them later on in the video. But these teams are really good. Give me OKC to win at home and cover the 7.5 points. On top of that, we are all over SGA tonight. I think he dominates after a day off. Matinee game on ABC, early 10 a.m. spot. It's at noon in Oklahoma City. We're all over the Thunder to win and cover here against the Denver Nuggets. Second half of the ABC doubleheader, we go to Dallas, Texas for the Phoenix Suns and the Dallas Mavericks. A game that actually kind of has some meaning to it, just considering the way the Mavericks have been playing and the way that the Suns can potentially find their way back into the play-in. Again, we kind of thought the season was a wash for Phoenix, and it kind of has been. But with the Kyrie Irving injury and the potential shutdown of Anthony Davis for the rest of the season, yeah, Phoenix will have a chance to probably play in the play-in. Currently, as we stand, they're only 2 games behind the Dallas Mavericks for the 10 seed. So again, if Phoenix wins, they gain a game on Dallas. They're only 1 game behind them in the standings with, a good amount of season left to go. I know Phoenix is a tough schedule, but they'll probably still get it over Dallas, a team that's just been struggling to win games with obviously all of their injuries, and they're still dealing with them. So again, beyond Kyrie, Jaden Hardy, Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, AD, and Oliver Maxence Prosper, who are all out for the foreseeable future. You add on to 4 more injuries tonight in Washington. PJ Washington is out, Kai Jones is out, Caleb Martin's questionable, and Dante Exum's questionable. This team, they had 7 players warming up the other day when they took on the Memphis Grizzlies. They're just extremely injured. It's just, I don't know what to say about Dallas. The season's a wash. They should probably shut down AD because the team's going nowhere. Klay Thompson is on the graphics for the games of the marquee, which again, shout out to Klay. He's a legend. I respect Klay Thompson. But Klay Thompson in 2025 is your top player. Oh man. If Phoenix doesn't win this game, they're an absolute disgrace. I don't care. You have to win this game. Because if you're Phoenix, you don't have your pick. You don't have any of your first-round picks for the next 6 years. You know KD's gone in the offseason anyway, but you might as well try to make the play-in. So Phoenix better win this game, and let's all be honest with ourselves, guys. For as bad as the Suns have been this season, we much rather watch them play in a 1-game winner-go-home situation than Dallas with Klay Thompson and Dante Exum and Max Christie. Yeah, I'd rather watch the Suns in a one-game do-or-die situation against Sacramento. Okay, give me the Suns to win this basketball game, and they should cover. Dallas won't be able to score. Yes, the Suns don't play defense, but if they're ever able to play defense, it'll be tonight, and they should be able to outscore the Mavs at every point in the game. Give me the Phoenix Suns to dominate on the road here in Dallas, Texas. We go on to our 3rd game of the day, and we move to New Orleans, Louisiana. The Pelicans are back to being a complete bottom feeder to the rest of the basketball world, which is just, it's their place, I guess. 3 straight losses to the Lakers, Rockets, and then Rockets again. A pretty dominant loss the other night to the Houston Rockets in the second matchup yesterday. A loss by 39 points. 29 points. But still, second half of a back-to-back, and you got to take on the Grizzlies. I know the Grizzlies have been kind of struggling, but obviously they overcame that in their victory over the Dallas Mavericks, and that's likely going to happen to a lot of teams that are struggling. They should overcome that against the Mavs and against the New Orleans Pelicans too. I mean, if you ask for 2 teams in the Western Conference right now, other than the tanking Utah Jazz, I mean, who do you want to overcome your struggles against? You're picking probably New Orleans and Dallas. So that's exactly what the Grizzlies get tonight. Jaren Jackson obviously still out for a couple more weeks. I'd assume maybe a week tops. But I don't expect Jaren Jackson's obviously not playing today. But Ja leading the charge had a very good game the other night against Dallas. Morant with 31 points. I would expect him obviously to have another big night tonight against the Pelicans, who are in a second half of a back-to-back. We'll see if Zion plays, and a Pels team that's just been injured all year long, and just obviously the Pelicans have nothing to look forward to. They're 30 games under 500, being 17-47. The season's obviously a wash, and the Grizzlies, I think with the win, no, they still can't get back to 3rd in the West because of their losses, but still, it's a game the Grizzlies should be able to dominate. I'd expect John Morant to have a pretty big night, and I would expect the Memphis Grizzlies to win. The spread is 8.5 for Memphis on the road. I think that's fair, and I think it's fine to play just because, again, the Pels just got blown out last night on the road. They return home, but it's the second half of a back-to-back. They've had to deal with travel, and the Grizzlies played 2 nights ago. So Memphis hasn't had to, Memphis isn't trying to overcome the back-to-back, but the Pels are. So give me Memphis to win and cover on the road here at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans against the Pelicans. We go on to our 4th game of the day, and we go to the Tankathon Bowl, because that's every Utah Jazz game when they're playing another bad team. Can they try to out-tank the Philadelphia 76ers tonight? I think it'll be close, which I know is crazy the way the Jazz have been playing, but I actually think they're able to kind of keep a close game here at Philadelphia, kind of. But obviously, every team is trying to match the Jazz level of tank. Right? I mean, we saw it with the Raptors, we saw it with the Wizards, we saw it with the Pels. When the Jazz label all of their guys as, inactive, their opponents, who are also really bad in trying to capture the flag, will mark all their guys out as well. So shout out to the 76ers, who I don't even think they own their pick. I don't think they do. But anyways, no Paul George, no Tyrese Maxey, no Kyle Lowry. PG didn't participate in practice yesterday, and he's going to be out for the next 2 games. Philly's already, they know they're out. And shout out to the Bulls last night, a huge victory over the Miami Heat. The Bulls are well into the play-in at this point. I'm telling you guys, Josh Giddey's an absolute baller. We've been saying this for the last couple weeks. Giddey's going to lead that team potentially to a win in the play-in. I'm just saying. I think Chicago wins the play-in against the Heat and the Magic. I'm just saying. Atlanta probably not. But I think there's a chance Chicago gets in the postseason, guys. I'm just saying. I made my case yesterday about why I want to see them actually in the playoffs. But Philadelphia, they know they're out. That's why I think this game's kind of close. And don't get me started on Utah. Everyone's out again. And not because they're hurt, just rest. John Collins is injured, but Laurie's kind of hurt. Walker Kessler's resting. Clarkson's hurt with the foot injury. These are phantom injuries. The Jazz don't want to win. Again, they are actively trying to pursue Cooper Flagg. I can't seriously pick a Jazz game. Don't bet on it. I think the Jazz and their, whatever they throw together tonight with Colin Sexton and Isaiah Collier and Kyle Filipowski should be able to keep it close just because the Sixers are literally offering nothing on the other end. Shout out to Quentin Grimes. He's been playing great basketball for the Philadelphia 76ers. Andre Drummond's actually done well in the spots that they have asked him to perform in this season, obviously with the Joel Embiid injury. But just don't bet on the game. My official pick, Sixers probably win because they're at home, but I can see the Jazz and Colin Sexton, who can perform in spots, keeping the game close and covering the 6.5 points here on the road. Don't bet on it, though. Just don't. Next game, we go to Milwaukee, Wisconsin on ESPN for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs winning streak's up to 13, obviously, with the close win the other night against the Charlotte Hornets. They'll try to make it 14 here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I expect them to do that. Bucks lost last night to the Magic by 2 points. I do think Milwaukee keeps this game really close. I don't want to entirely say that this is why they lost to the Magic, but I will mention it. And shout out Giannis again. Giannis is a monster, 37-11 in a loss. It's a bad loss to Orlando, don't get me wrong. The Magic have been atrocious. They could have been looking ahead, though. They could have. Now, Milwaukee has a gauntlet ahead of them. My goodness. Cleveland, Indiana, Lakers, Indiana, Thunder, Warriors, Lakers, Kings, Suns, Nuggets, Knicks, Hawks. That is a rough slate coming up. My goodness, they have some tough games. And we'll see again kind of a rivalry matchup with the Pacers rematch of the first round. Obviously last year, that's right now the 4 and 5. I think both those teams are probably going to hop the Knicks. But anyways, that's a tough schedule coming up if you're Milwaukee. But I do think potentially they have been waiting for this Cleveland game. Obviously, they get the chance to break the win streak of the Cavs tonight. I don't think they do it, but I think Milwaukee does play them really close tonight. The line is 8.5. I do think Milwaukee covers this at home. Ultimately, yes, I think the Cavs win a very close game. They were very competitive against the Hornets the other night, and that's the Hornets. They won the game by 1, obviously, finding a way to win and going to 53-10. I think Milwaukee plays them close. They're at home. The fans know the game. Obviously, Giannis and Dame know how big a game this is. They want to end this win streak of the Cavs. They want to show that they're more than capable of potentially beating this team in the playoffs if they do get them in that 1-4 matchup in the second round, even though I do think Milwaukee, again, will find their way to the 3 seed. But I'm going to take the Cavs to win ultimately. Yes, I'm going to go Milwaukee on the spread. The Cavs find ways to win. And Milwaukee at the same time is coming off a loss yesterday, and they ultimately just played yesterday as well. Don't like the team coming off the second half of a back-to-back. I do think the Bucks take this game a lot more seriously because it is Cleveland and because of where they are in the win streak. But I think in the fourth quarter, I think the Cavs do pull away. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks are winning early and even into the second half of this one. I just expect Cleveland to be playing with the fresher legs, obviously, with their high-scoring offense, with Mitchell, Garland, and the 2 bigs, obviously with Mobley and Allen, and help Max Strus as well in the starting lineup. I think the Cavs win the game on the road, but I do think Milwaukee keeps it close. So we're going plus 8.5 and a Cavaliers victory at the same time here in Milwaukee on ESPN. We go on to our next game, and we go to Minnesota, as the Minnesota Timberwolves are hosting the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are just so awful at basketball. De'Aaron got his game out the way against the Kings. It was the worst revenge game in the history of revenge games. No, it wasn't, but kind of. It was absolutely horrible. He scored 16 points, and he went 0 for 7 from beyond the arc. Way to go. I thought he was going to finally bring it together, but nope, he didn't. Great. It's just atrocious. So bad. Spurs Timberwolves, though. The Timberwolves will kill the Spurs because the Spurs just suck at basketball right now. Again, De'Aaron got his revenge game out the way. Let's hang it up now this season. Go get the hand injury that you've been needing. There's no point in playing for a team that's now 9 games under 500 and currently 4.5 games out the play-in, but trailing Portland and Phoenix to eventually get to Dallas. It's just the Spurs. It's not happening for them this season. If you ever thought they were motivated to beat the Kings to help out their new teammate, obviously they weren't. They lost by 18 points in that game, and Sacramento controlled it from the second quarter onward. It was close in the first quarter. San Antonio actually had a lead, but the Kings just pulled away. And it kind of shows you what this team is without Victor Wembanyama. Not very great. Minnesota somehow has gone on a 4-game winning streak, beating Phoenix, Philadelphia, Charlotte, and Miami. Close game in South Beach, but obviously a game that was ultimately won by Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves. Ant's a superstar. I'm not going to deny that. He's a great basketball player. We'll see if they get Rudy Gobert back tonight. Gobert's been out of the lineup for a while. He's questionable for this game to make his return against San Antonio. It's a game they can ease him into because I don't expect the Spurs to do anything of note. And I'd expect the Timberwolves to absolutely dominate this basketball game and blow out the San Antonio Spurs. So give me Minnesota minus 10.5, minus 500 favorites. Again, don't play the money line. I think the spread is playable here because San Antonio is continuing on this road trip, and they just don't feel like they play competitive games in the road. And they really just don't play competitive games in general. But they're playing a good Timberwolves team who has come on as of late. Give me Minnesota to dominate the basketball game and cover the 10.5 points in the process. We go on now to our 7th game of the day, and we go to the Moda Center in Portland, Oregon. For the Portland Trailblazers and the Detroit Pistons, I do think the Blazers get the Pistons here in Portland. Detroit's coming off back-to-back losses on the road. They started off the road trip with a win in Salt Lake against the Jazz, obviously the tanking Jazz, and then back-to-back losses, though, in California against the Clippers and against the Golden State Warriors. The loss yesterday against the Warriors was a very competitive game. Curry obviously hits his 25,000 points. But the Warriors found a way to narrowly edge that one out. Second half of a back-to-back for Detroit. This is a spot that the Trailblazers have actually picked off a lot of teams this season. Teams who are coming off the second half of a back-to-back, going up to Oregon after losing to after playing like the Lakers, Clippers, Kings, or Warriors. Usually teams will go from California up to Portland. And this is where the Blazers are usually going to get you. They're going to get you in the second half of a back-to-back because they're going to catch you off guard. Because this team is explosive, they are quick, and they're very young, and they're good. Sure, back-to-back losses, but to Boston and OKC, arguably the 2 best teams in the league right now. I know Cleveland's around still, but whatever. And just wait for the Lakers in the playoffs. I'm just saying. LeBron will get healthy and we'll be fine. But the Blazers have excelled in the spot all year long, hosting teams in Oregon. I feel really good about this. Again, Pistons have lost back-to-back games on the road trip. They just lost last night. Portland's going to find a way to win in the second half of a back-to-back for Detroit. Portland didn't play yesterday. Anfernee Simons has been great all year. Denny Adjiva questionable for this game. He's a big piece of this Blazers team. But Adjiva questionable with the quad injury. We'll see if he plays. I hope he does. But if not, again, you still get that loaded bench with the talent within Scoot Henderson and Anfernee Simons. It's a great spot for the Blazers. I think Pistons going up here to Portland. They're not really expecting the Blazers to be as explosive as they are. But they'll catch you, man. They will. And this team still does have stuff to play for in the play-in race. Give me the Blazers in Oregon to beat the Detroit Pistons as 2.5-point dogs, and with plus 115 that they're getting on the money line. We go on to our final game of the night, and we go to the Intuit Dome as we have the Los Angeles Clippers taking on the Sacramento Kings. Hear me out, I'm taking the Kings. Yep, straight money line on the Kings. You can play the points, that's fine, plus 6.5. I'm actually taking Sacramento to win the game outright. I know the Clippers won back-to-back over Detroit and New York in this homestand that they have before they have to go back on the road to New Orleans on Tuesday. I think the Kings get them here. James Harden's played phenomenal basketball, and Zubac has been great all year long as well, and he's been excellent in the last 2 games as well. But I do think Sacramento is able to go on the road and beat them here. Guys, the Kings are playing with confidence right now, and I know they blew that lead in Denver the other night, but other than that, they have won 4 out of their last 5. 5 out of their last 6. And the wins are the Hornets, Jazz, Rockets, Mavs, and Spurs. But I mean, the Rockets wins huge on the road. They've showed capability of going on the road and winning before the season. So why can't they go to Los Angeles and win? The Clippers, yeah, they've won back-to-back, but Norman Powell's out. Kawhi's just been recently. Ben Simmons is out this game as well. It's an extremely winnable game for the Kings. Zach LaVine's been playing phenomenal ball recently. DeMar DeRozan's been playing great, and I get it. Domantas Sabonis is out, but Jonas Valanciunas has surprisingly come into Sacramento and made a very great impact for this team as well. Now, again, this game will come down to if they can contain Zubac, because Zubac is so good on the offensive glass. He's a great scorer at this point of his career as well, and obviously you know James Harden is going to get his points too, but it's all a matter of them containing Zubac, and I think Valanciunas is able to do a good enough job. And I think he's going to put the Kings in a position where they can score on the other side, again, with DeRozan, with Zach LaVine, and I think the Kings will keep this game close, right? I'm taking the Kings to win, and ultimately I'm taking them to cover, and ultimately I am going to take them to win too. Plus 190, I don't mind it. Again, Clippers got to hit the road after this. Yeah, they've won back-to-back, but the Clippers were kind of ice cold prior to those back-to-back wins. I'm gonna take Sacramento to go on the road and catch him here. I don't mind the odds at all. Give me Sacramento plus 190 to go to the Intuit Dome and beat the Los Angeles Clippers. So folks, thank y'all for watching our NBA predictions here for March 9th. If you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.